Good afternoon. I am Mrs. Wong, HOD Student Wellbeing and Support. Welcome to Heising Catholic School's Q&A segment. You may scan the QR code shown on the screen to key in your questions. Alternatively, you may go to slido.com and key in 542597. Should there be any questions that you feel more for, you may upvote the questions. Some of the responses may be keyed in by our moderators, so you can refer to the answers on screen. Our Q&A panelists comprise our school leaders, key personnel, and student council president. Now, let us look at the first question asked. How does Heising CCA develop students? So for this, our student council president, Theresa, will be answering the question. Theresa, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am the Student Council Exco President for this year. So for Heising CCA, not only do they focus on developing our skills, but they also focus on developing our character as well. Sometimes for me, training can get really demanding, but when we look at our seniors persevering through, we are also inspired to persevere too. And everyone is always ready to help one another. Additionally, our school doesn't really focus on the results like winning or losing, but more on improving as a team and having fun. This really taught me that the process is what matters and not just the results, because most of the time results are just viewed as failure or success. But when we see that failure is it's not something bad, but something that is a stepping stone to success, I think it does really help. So this is how our school develops us child CCAs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Theresa. And here we have a special question that someone highlighted for the president, student council president as well. So Theresa, again, what is your proud moment in Heising? Theresa, please.
I think my proudest moment in Heising was definitely carrying out this new event called High Spirits Week. High Spirits Week was a week to bring awareness to mental health. So it was something that a team of students and I were very passionate about and decided to suggest it to our teachers. Thankfully, our teachers were really supportive of it. And this is something that I'm eternally grateful for. In Heising, all the teachers are really ready to listen to every student's voices. Yep, it was not easy having to plan a whole week in such a short period of time. And we also had the opportunity to interview a Olympian, Miss Kwa Ting Wen. The interview is also posted on our school's Instagram page, so you can go check that out. But yeah, it was not easy having to plan this whole week in a very short period of time. But after hearing that this program really helped a lot of my peers and a lot of my schoolmates that are struggling with mental health, I think it really brought joy to my team and made everything worth it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Theresa. I most certainly remember the High Spirits Week because it was really fantastic. Yes, thank you for a job so well done. And now let's move on to the next question. How do Heising teachers welcome new Sec 1s? For this, can I ask our lower sec year head, Ms. Sarah To, to answer the question? Ms. To, please. Hi, Ms. To. I think the sound is not working so well. Ms. To, are you able to unmute?
This is Mrs. Teo here. I will answer this question on behalf of her because I think she has got some technical issue. Okay, so basically our Sec 1 form teachers, they are actually in fact very ready now to welcome our Sec 1 students. We have actually met up with all our Sec 1 students. And when they come in to Heising for the first week, there is actually a special orientation program. And we also call it induction program as well, where we will run through all the programs they will experience from Sec 1 to 4 and 5 with them. At the same time, we also look into their well-being and share with them basically what they expect secondary school life will be. Other than that, the year head, the assistant year head as well, will come in to support the students as well and the form teachers.
Thank you, Mrs. Teo. We have another question here. What food do we have in our school canteen? For this, would Mrs. Teo like to answer the question? Thank you.
Okay, I think this is rather a popular question. We had the same question asked yesterday. So I would like everyone to know that in terms of canteen meals, we are aligned with the Health Promotion Board Healthy Canteen Eating Program. So we do ensure that the food served in a canteen are healthy and basically a balanced meal for our kids in the school.
Thank you, Mrs. Teo. Next, we have this question. Is there close working relationship with parents on students' needs? For this, can HOD Science, Mrs. Cheng, please take the question? Thank you.
Hi, parents. In our school, our teachers work closely with the parents on attending to our students' needs. Our teachers touch base with parents regularly on matters pertaining to the child's progress in both academic and non-academic areas. And these platforms include the termly parent-teacher conference, as well as the letters of praise, which acknowledge the good deeds done by our Heising students, as observed in school by our teachers, or even outside school by members of public. And we engage our parents in conversations via Zoom sessions, phone calls, or face-to-face sessions. And parents can also join the PSG, whereby parents work closely with the PSG Exco to take part in activities to support and enhance our students' school experience in Heising Catholic School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cheng. Here we have two questions. The first one, how many parents' engagement sessions does Heising have in a year? And what support will Heising give to students who are not performing well academically? Mr. Ang, please.
Hi, good afternoon. So I believe Mrs. Cheng has already given an answer to this kind of support that Heising will give to a student who is not performing well academically. Now, with regard to parent engagement sessions that Heising has, I believe you are referring to formal, more formal structured sessions. Now, these generally take place 2 to 3 times a year. However, I think with the advent of video conferencing technology and the fact that all of you are comfortable in joining us here today, it is not as difficult to speak and see each other see each other on video conference, and our teachers do use these technologies to engage with parents for conferences. However, with regard to working with parents, I would also like to point out that the adolescent years are the years in which a student grows up and finds their own identity. So it is important over the years of secondary school that parents also grow in their role as parents of teenagers and adolescents. So the engagement with parents also needs to change, and this is beneficial to the students themselves, because the way you parent and teach, the way you parent and we teach a teenager is different from the way you parent and primary school teachers teach primary school students. So it's important to realize that they are on the cusp of this time where they, together with you, are going to undergo this very significant change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ang. And next, we have this question that's very popular, upvoted by many parents, to ask whether Heising offers triple science. So Mrs. Cheng, our HOD of Science, will be answering this question. Mrs. Cheng, please.
Yes, our school does offer triple science. We have one class that does triple science, so long as our students meet the criteria. And we also have a class of double pure science, and it is pure physics and pure chemistry. For students who did not do well enough to do triple science, they can also have the experience of studying the 3 sciences because we have one class of pure physics and a combined chemistry biology, and also another class that does pure biology and combined physics and chemistry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cheng. Next, we have this question. Based on 2020 cohort taking O levels, what is the percentage of students who are eligible for JC? Our Vice Principal, Mrs. Teo, will be answering this question. Mrs. Teo, please.
Okay, thank you, Susian. Okay, I believe you have heard our principal, Mr. Ang, shared that out of 10, 4.5 in 10 choose to go to a JC. Okay, bearing in mind that eventually that is the choice that they made. But in terms of eligibility, for the 2020 cohort, we have around 75% of students who actually qualify for a JC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Teo. Next, we will be coming to the last few questions of the Q&A segment. We will be addressing two questions together here. The first one will be, will the move to temporary campus be disruptive to students, especially for special areas like labs? And when is the school moving to temp campus? For how long? And where is the location of the campus? Our principal, Mr. Ang, will be answering these questions. Mr. Ang, please.
Hi, good afternoon once again. There are many different questions being asked in one, so let me go through it fairly slowly. The temporary campus is located at the former Greenview Secondary School premises, which is 2 kilometers east of Heising Catholic School. So in terms of movement to a holding site, this is a fairly short distance. It is located not very far away. In fact, walkable distance. We will be there for 2 years, provided the the schedule is for a 2-year move. And with regard to facilities, we have already done a study this year, as we were originally slated to move at the end of this year. And the facilities at the holding site will be matched against what we have here in the current site. And in fact, to some extent, there's a little bit more space in the holding site in some areas. So in terms of facilities, there is a match between the holding site and our current campus. And as to whether it will be disruptive, to some extent, moving of a school, changing of school-going routines, taking a different bus, walking a different route is going to require a little bit of adjustment. But with regard to the campus itself and the education that we provide within it, we are committed to ensuring that it is as seamless a transition as is possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ang. So here next, we have two questions also about students, and it relates to the well-being of students, to ask about how long recess is and how long would the school hours be. Mr. Ang, please.
Well, the length of recess time is heavily dependent on safe management measures which are imposed due to COVID. Our experience this year is that we had a half-an-hour recess for a single level of students. So the canteen, which is originally designed to take 2 levels of students, and previously during this half-an-hour, we have had 2 levels eating for about 30-40 minutes. We now only have 1 level seated there for about 30 minutes. So we have found and observed, and I do pay attention to the queuing time and the time available for eating. And 30 minutes is enough time to get their food and return back to class. Of course, it is still a school day. You can't take your time to slowly go through your school meal, but there is sufficient time to eat and not feel rushed. The length of school hours also somewhat vary depending on the COVID measures. However, the current plan is to start school at 7:30 or 7:40 for Sec 1, and the end of the timetable is about 2 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. But that the school day does not end at 2. The lessons end at 2, and depending on whether you have additional lessons for support for the previous question was whether we support our students who need academic support. It happens after school. And of course, CCA also happens after school. On days with CCA, it might end maybe 5 o'clock, close to 6 o'clock. But students do not have CCAs every day.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ang. And we have our last question. How many Set 1 classes are there in 2022? And what would be the breakdown of Express, NA, and NC classes? Mr. Ang, please.
Well, the planned cohort for 2022 is identical to the planned cohorts in the past few years. There are planned for 7 classes. Now, this plan is based on MOE's provisions, so subject to whatever changes that they impose. 7 classes, 4 Express, 2 NA, and 1 NT, which is identical to what we have had in the past few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ang. We have come to the end of Heising's Q&A segment. Thank you for joining us today in our e-open house to discover a path to purpose for students. All questions that were posed on Slido today have been answered either online or replied in the messages. All questions will also be uploaded on Heising website. Should you have any further questions, do write in to us at hshs@moe.edu.sg. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.